Ruslan.
One last times we kicked it was in Reach, Atlanta. I don't remember what year it was, maybe 2018, 2019, somewhere in that window, 2018, 2017 maybe. We talked about your faith journey, and the title of this book is, Losing Your Religion to Find Your Faith. And you share some stuff with me, and I don't know how deep you want to go, but you share some stuff about kind of getting into a dark place with your faith and really like picking it all apart and then reconstructing it and arriving seemingly at a much healthier place. And obviously deconstruction, deconversion is super popular now. You got folks deconstructing their faith to something that don't even look like historical Christianity, denying some of the essentials of the doctrines. From everything I've gathered from the book, from the music, it seems like you reconstructed your faith and arrived, if not at the same place more or less, but a more historical alignment of being a follower of Jesus. How did you arrive at that place? First of all, just needing to kind of unpack everything, and then what was that journey like of repackaging and recovering your like that Jesus intimacy that you have?
Yeah, I think. Well, first I would say this. I would say that there's a lot of terms that I think people use that folks get up in arms about because they're packed, they're couched with so many other assumptions and presuppositions. So when you say deconstruction, people get up in arms about it because they're thinking it means something it doesn't mean. In the same way, to the non-believing world, when you say I'm a Christian, there's a lot of stuff, that baggage that comes with that term that people bring into the conversation that you may not even be trying to imply.
Yeah.
I'm a Christian. Oh, so you are judgmental, or you are, whatever. The list goes on. So, when I say deconstruction, I'm not saying I was not trying to be part of a fad of people who want to, do away with the scriptures and just kind of like make up their own views of what stuff is. For me, my deconstruction was realizing that I'm inside of this cultural mindset that is extremely Western. And we're trying to understand a very ancient scripture that is Eastern, and there's so much superimposed ideas put on it. And so for me, what happened was, obviously all the backlash I received from speaking up about issues of injustice as it pertains to ethnic minorities and marginalized people in America was mostly from Christians. And so I was like, what the heck is happening here? I thought we were one big happy family. I thought, like, why? And I began to see, like, we're not all seeing things the same. I didn't understand the nationalism that was baked into evangelical Christianity in America. I didn't understand the white supremacy that was baked in. And when I say white supremacy, I know people get up in arms because they don't even know what that means. So a lot of times they're thinking of KKK members, and that's not all of what I'm talking about. What I'm articulating is that it's power structures and who's in control. So when I would get on Google and look up, like, who is the real Jesus, 98% of the articles written and pushed on us are written by white men. And that's just the reality of it. So I was fighting against a lot of that. And so I got to a place in my frustration and anger and hurt that I made a people hurt a God hurt. And I blamed, this. I was like, oh, this is God's fault if there is a God. And I was hurt, and I didn't want to accept the idea that there was a God. So I abandoned the faith for a period of time. But the reality is, if you're a true believer, you can't just, it's like you're indwelt by the Spirit. Ephesians 4:27. I'm sealed with the Spirit of redemption. So I can't just piece them out. So though I tried, His goodness and mercy followed me. It pursued me and would not let me go. And what ended up happening was I traveled the world, which I know everybody doesn't get to do. I got to read books, and from outside of the Western American perspective, and I got to realize that this is a much ancient and much more global faith than I realized. And I realized there was so much that we were putting on it that was not biblical, but it was more American.
Yes.
And the deconstruction for me was peeling back some of that stuff and getting to the root of what this faith really was about. And that's what led me to a more historical, ancient, and, you know, I'd say God honoring vantage point of the faith.
Yeah, that's good. I've recently went and dove deep into the church history, all the different schisms and splits, and there's major ones that happened every 500 years. There was the one around 500 with the Oriental and the Catholic, just universal at the time. They split, and that became the Ethiopian church, the Armenian church, which is how I grew up, and that split, and they held a different canon. And then at around the year 1050, it split again, and the Eastern and the West Church split. And then the Protestant Reformation, which we all know, we think like Christianity starts with the Protestant Reformation. We're like, yeah, Martin Luther. And so it's like that split. And then Joseph Armenian came on the scene. John Calvin came on the scene. Joseph Armenian came on the scene. Then 50 years later, the followers of Calvin wrote the 5 Points of Calvin. And ever since then, Protestantism, I think partly because of the Enlightenment phase and because of intellectualism and the need for certainty, we've just consistently kept splitting and splitting and splitting and splitting and splitting. And now we're at a place where there's over 40,000 Christian Protestant denominations worldwide. And we look at it and we go, is that the way God intended it, right? Is that the way it was that the heart of God? And I think it is very Western, man. I think it is very, it's just, it needs this certainty, having an answer for everything, being absolute and ingrained, and you're like mud that's turned to hot, cement, and there's no dialogue, there's no nuance. And I think that's what you experienced, man. And it was very frustrating to watch when all of the social stuff came out.
Kingstream Entertainment. Ruslan.
Hey, thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. If you found it valuable, please consider giving it a like and subscribing. You can check out one of the other videos related to this that'll be over here. Now, I gotta tell you about a free training I have for anyone that is an entrepreneur, a creative, an artist, but maybe you are unsure on how to find your voice, how to find your niche. I have a free training in the description of this video. Check it out. Once again, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I will see you on the next video.